Hey guys. I know it's a little weird. I've never done the video with me in it before, so we're gonna try it and see how it goes. A couple of things. Today we're gonna talk about action photography, which I am really excited about because I think this is something you guys could easily do at home. We're gonna kind of go through a little bit of the aspects of it, and then I'm gonna give you a photo assignment to send you off into the world to take really cool action shots. Now, action photography is going to lead us into adventure photography, which is personally my favorite, and they may be into nature and wildlife, and we'll kind of play it by ear. So let's go through this PowerPoint, and like I said, you guys know I'm available if you need me, so just shoot me a remind message or an email, and I can help you out. So let's see what we get. Now, what is action photography? For us, it's super simple. The need to capture or convey motion. So we are either going to freeze motion, blur motion, or we're going to move with motion, which is kind of the best part about it. So just a couple like little hints for you to put in your notes. Like I said, the desire to capture or convey motion, um, making things slow down. So if you look at the water balloon, we are actually seeing the balloon pop in the shape of the water. So we're getting that like minute millisecond of the water hasn't started to spread out yet, which is really cool. A lot of times photographers will take a series of pictures so they can go back and forth and find that exact moment. And there are actually apps now that can help you do it on your phone. So I'm not recommending one app over another app, but that is an option that you can look into, and there's a bunch of different varieties depending on the phone type you have. So let's see what else we got. Now, when you talk about types of photography, a lot of times people like automatically think sports photography, but that's not always the case. Okay, you've got nature photography, you've got adventure photography, you've got all of these other things that kind of play along with it. So a couple other like things that you might see, yeah, sports photography, people playing sports, or you might see race cars or motocross or X sports. You might see animals that are moving, like horse racing, or the picture of the dog that's running on the beach, flying birds, crashing waves. Um, you know, any kind of good photojournalism is also working in some kind of action photography. So you have to decide, are you going to stop the people working on the street? Are you going to stop the people that are running into battle? Or are you going to show that motion that they bring with it? So these are all questions that you're going to have to ask yourself. Now, the innovators, or like the inventors of, action photography, were kind of narrowed down to these two guys. So we've got George William Beldam, and what he did is he combined his love of photography and his love of cricket. And if you don't know what cricket is, it's kind of like baseball. It's very popular um, in Australia and in England. We don't do too much of it here, but it is popular in other places. And he was an English cricket player, and so that's kind of where his love of photography came from. So the other person, Muybridge, he's really important in the animation world because what he did is would take series of pictures and run them together so we could see the action. And he's actually credited with figuring out how horses run because people always assumed horses would stick out like both legs in the front and both legs in the back and kind of run like a bunny. But that's not the case. And when he took these pictures and did his experiments with like slowing down motions or speeding up shutter speeds, he was able to capture the actual running motions of the horse. So not only is he important for us photographers, but he's also important for animators, breakdown and slowing down that action so we can actually understand the mechanics of it. So let's talk about the evolution of photography, this action photography. Now, obviously cameras have come a long way. Um, a lot of people now are doing a lot of action photography with GoPro cameras. So they're actually taking like videos and then still framing parts of it. So stealing like little screenshots to show action, which is pretty cool. But nowadays you've got your digital SLR cameras, you've got your, regular phones, you've got all of these other things that kind of help you. So you don't need an expensive camera to be able to do action photography, which I think is super cool. A lot of the phones nowadays, like my phone, you can actually change the shutter speed on it. So what I want you to do when you're like working through these action photographs that I'm going to ask you to take, I want you to play with the settings in your phone. See if you can't slow down your shutter speed or speed it up, okay, to blur or capture motion. You've got these options now, which I think is pretty amazing. So don't worry about what kind of equipment you have. Whatever you have is fine because I'm going to give you a few options for your action photography. So don't worry. Now, a couple of things. I'm going to give you a few tips. Number one, if you're going to freeze the action, you need to be thinking about the things that are going on in your picture because action is the least of your worries. You're still going to have some good photo composition. You are still going to have to be thinking roll thirds, and you're going to have to think about where you're going to place the camera to best capture that action. Okay? Be with me so far. Now, if you are doing walking, 125 is going to be a good shutter speed to capture walking. Running, you're going to have to boost that up probably to 1/500. Okay, and if you're doing like super fast sports, you're busting it up again to maybe 1,000th of a second for your shutter speed. So you're going to have to play with those and play with your film speeds and things to get those pictures. Now, a lot of your cameras actually have a little like runner guy icon, which is going to allow you to take action photography, which is a good thing, but it might not give you your desired effect. So definitely don't be afraid to play with those other modes. Now your phone's the same way. You might have a sports setting that's going to help you freeze motion. However, it's going to lock your camera into certain functions and you might not get everything you want out of it. So just kind of play with those until you're happy with the results. Couple more tips. Okay, you want to show movement. So freezing somebody in mid-air before they've actually, started to kick the soccer ball isn't really going to help. Okay, you need to figure out where that peak of that movement is in order to figure out the best place to show that movement. Or things like if you speed up your shutter speed so much, you're going to miss some of the more interesting aspects of the picture. So you need to find the right balance to maybe you want the whole body frozen, but not the ball frozen. Or, maybe you want to show the runner, but her ponytail's still bouncing and is a little blurred. That would be a cool picture. So think about those things. Okay, the other thing I want you to do is to try interesting angles. Get low, use your worm's eye view. Get high, use a bird's eye view like they did with this picture right here. Okay, those are going to make your pictures more interesting. Don't feel like you're locked into this 5-foot, eye view that people are always using. That gets boring, so we want to kind of change that. Okay, choose your backgrounds carefully. This person, sought out a really awesome background for her like jumping shot, and it actually appears that she is jumping over the bridge because she's framed by the bridge and these two trees, which is really cool. And we're not seeing the ground. So she looks like she's jumping a lot higher and farther than she really is. So you can do some really cool things if you're paying attention to the background. The big thing is, though, I want you to avoid the distractions in your background. Those are overwhelming. And there's some things that people do not need to see in the picture. So really pay attention to what's in your background when you're taking these pictures. Okay, and then capture, like I said, the peak of the action. Depending on what you're doing, is somebody kicking a soccer ball? Is somebody throwing a ball? Is someone spiking a volleyball? What is the point that you're going to get that best single frame to show that action? So really play around with, what you're doing. Kind of like if you're taking a jumping picture. You don't want to capture the person falling back to the ground or before they take off. You want to catch them at their highest jumping point. Okay? So how do you create action in your pictures? There are 3 methods. The first is panning, okay, which is technically one of my favorite, but it's a little harder to do. But that's where you follow the motion. So if somebody's running by you, okay, you're going to take your camera, point it at them, and follow them as they run by you. Now the shutter might only click once, which is fine, but your person running will be in focus and the background will blur, much like the motocross person down here in the bottom. Okay, so the background is blurred. It looks like it's going fast behind him. Okay, and then he is in focus. The other thing you can do is you can capture motion. So you can stop everything in the picture, make it freeze, okay, and you're going to get that sense of motion. The water droplets on the person flipping their hair in the water are frozen, so you have caught them in the act of coming out of the water. And then your third option is to blur motion. So you're using a slower shutter speed, maybe not so good light, okay, and things are going to look blurred. Okay, slow shutter speeds will blur your motion, which could be cool. The truck looks like it's moving very fast. Okay, so we still get that sense of motion. It's just a different type of motion. Now let's talk about your assignment. Okay, your assignment is going to be create/take, and I say create because you need to be thinking about all of those elements, your composition, what's going on in the background, all of that fun stuff in order to get your pictures. You need to create 3 pictures that illustrate movement. Okay, they can be any of these 3 types. You can blur motion, you can capture motion, or you can pan. Okay, it doesn't matter to me if you take 3 of the same. So if you take 3 pictures that capture motion, you could do that. You can take 1 of each. You could take maybe 2 blur and 1 capture. That's totally fine, but you need to turn in 3 pictures. Okay, these pictures should be edited. Now, because we can't get to Photoshop, we're going to be using Photoshop Express, but I really want you to play with the tones. I want you to play with the contrast, the brightness, and do not go crazy over the top of the filters. Okay? Some of your pictures are so good, I just wish you didn't shove like a weird light filter on top of them. Okay, so really choose your filters if you choose to use them tastefully. That is huge. Okay, once you finish a picture, make sure you download it to your camera roll so you can upload it onto Schoology. Okay, very important that you are uploading your pictures separately. Okay, don't do it in a collage, even though I know it's very tempting. But make sure you upload them separately. If you want to upload a collage picture after that, I'm totally fine with it, but I need to see your picture separately. So once again, we talked about action photography. Hopefully you're getting like a little bit of a taste for it. And then I tried to give you pictures on this page that you could easily do at home. Like if you have a skateboard, you could skateboard. If you have people at home with you, you can have them help you by taking the picture, or you can have them be your subject. Okay, things like the fidget spinner, you can take that picture by yourself. Things like jumping off the ground, you can set a timer, get close to it, and jump off the ground. Okay, things like water falling, things like a bucket of water being poured on someone's head, those are all things that you could do for this project. So once again, if you need any help, I am here to help you. Just shoot me an email or let me know. I know this is a little awkward. It's a little weird for me too, but I'm trying something new. I'm trying to get you and guys engaged. Let me know if you like this and let me know if it helped. And if you have any suggestions for more photo assignments, let me know because I want you to have the opportunity to take pictures of things you love. Okay, well, I will talk to you guys later. Good luck.